We're checking out the brand new ORION 25 from Achilles Amplification today. This is an original design that is essentially like a Fender amplifier's greatest hits in one amp. You've got the gorgeous Harmonic tremolo from a classic brown face style amp. There is a built-in spring reverb with its own dwell and mix controls. You've got a deluxe reverb inspired power section on here that is switchable between 15 and 25 watts. And then you've got a modified version of a classic Fender preamp that has a much sweeter sweep into breakup and has a far more usable range on the volume and tone controls. It's got a Jensen Jets series speaker in the back. And speaking of the back, I'll turn this around so you can see this version has a single speaker. There's an effects loop on this amp. There is an external cabinet switch over here. You can see the 15 or 25 watt switch over there. And just like anything Achilles, this is so meticulously put together, absolutely flawless cabinetry and finishing on here. Everything feels so premium, from the way the knobs feel under your hand to just the satisfying ka-chunk of those switches. Let's hear some sounds from this, because you can have an amp that looks great on paper that doesn't necessarily sound great, but this is an amp that looks great on paper that sounds pretty special in my opinion. Oh yeah, and much like myself and Vegemite, it's also made in Australia. Let's get started with my 77 Strat. I've plugged straight into the ORION 25 and I've mic'd it up with a Sennheiser MD421. I'm running it in the 25 watt mode, and I want to showcase how this amp breaks up with the volume control to get started. So I'm starting out with what I would consider typical settings for a deluxe reverb style amp, with the treble control around 1 o'clock and the bass control quite low. As you can see, I've got the overall volume control at about 11 o'clock. What I've noticed with this compared to a typical deluxe is you've got a wider window in which the amp breaks up. It doesn't quite go from almost no breakup to almost all the breakup really quickly. It's quite gradual. And then you actually turn the bass control on this up past about 10 o'clock and still play clean on the neck pickup of a Strat. So let's do that. Let's start out on the neck pickup of this Strat. I'll show you the range of the bass control and the treble control, and then we'll bring the volume up slowly. There's some amazing clean and edge of breakup sounds in there with the Strat. Very quickly, I want you to hear the difference between the 25 watt mode, pretty much cranked, and the 15 watt mode. We'll start in 25 and then I'll switch it over. 15 watt mode definitely feels a little more squishy and satisfying to play at those settings. It breaks up slightly faster, but the volume drop isn't super crazy. It's kind of the difference between 25 watt mode going all out, cranking in a rock gig, and 15 watt, maybe you're in a smaller room and you just need to tame it a little bit. I've gone back over to the 25 watt mode though, because I want to play around with some of these built-in effects, particularly the built-in harmonic tremolo, which, well, we're going to hear it. It's pretty special, particularly combined with the built-in spring reverb. You actually have what I would consider controls typical of a Fender spring reverb tank rather than just the built-in spring reverb, which has a reverb control. You've got dwell and mix for the reverb, and you've got speed and intensity for the harmonic tremolo. I'm going to start by just adding a little bit of spring reverb, then we're going to go to town with that trem. is just beautiful. That is some of the sweetest tremolo that I have heard out of a tube amp ever, and combined with that spring reverb, you get lost in that sound for a long time. We'll go away from the sweet tones and we'll get super nasty now. I've got a Les Paul Custom in my hands with some burst buckers in it. Again, still straight into the Orion. I'm on the 15 watt mode. I've cranked this up. I'm going for a real nasty kind of drive. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kick in just a little bit of that harmonic tremolo on there. And I love that even at the minimum speed, you've got such a musical effect on there. So let's play this. Pretty glorious indeed. This sounds so good with the Les Paul. Sometimes it can be really hard to get nice humbucker cleans and edge of breakup tones out of these style of amps, but that's doing the thing. One last thing, let's just crank the snot out of it and then hit it with an SD1. I'm going to leave the reverb on because it's a vibe. isn't that much more to say with this amp. I absolutely adore the way it sounds. The noise floor on it is so low. I've got this running pretty hot at the moment, and there's not a lot of hiss or anything like that. You can just faintly hear that the transformers are on. It also smells really good, which I know is a weird thing to say, but taking it out, it's one of those things. It's really, really nicely put together. It's got the smeller tubes cooking in there. You can kind of order this any way you like it as well. This version does have an effects loop, which works really well, which is pretty novel on an amp like this. And if you do like it and you want to learn any more about it, again, it is made here in Australia by Achilles Amplification. I'll put a link to their website and the Orion 25 in the video description. I've also done demos with a few of their other amps as well, which you can check out on the channel. If you like what I'm doing, there are links to my Patreon and the music that I make with my band Ragdoll. Otherwise, I'm just going to crank up this reverb and this beautiful harmonic trem, and I will play you all out with some more of the Orion 25 from Achilles amps. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.